Man said I'm live on YouTube. Where's the promo? There was no
I
promo,
was
man.
gonna ask you.
You know, like this is very impromptu, so it will literally just be there. Oh my days. Where's the promo? I don't know what the promo is, man. This was not planned, man. Okay. Yes, man. How's it?
So good. Yeah.
Yeah? All good?
Okay.
This is so
Okay.
impromptu, man. Okay.
Your Insta?
Yeah. Have you figured it out?
Yep. And we're live. No, I don't know if we're live.
I mean,
How do I know if we're live?
what's it called? I can check on this side.
Oh, I see the button. Okay, I know how to do it.
Have you gone live? Oh, you
No, I
haven't
haven't
gone live.
pressed it. Do you want to press it? Is it ready?
What's it called?
It's good news.
Okay, you're gonna be the producer and director of this whole shindig. If there's questions, you let me know.
Yeah.
What's on this one? You should be able. Let me not fuck this thing up. Oh
I haven't said you've gone live.
no, reload it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. You mute it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's the pen. All right, you can go live there. No, that's the wrong one. That's just you. That's my other account.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go on your thing so I can join it. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Okay, it's connecting. You're now live.
We're now live.
Broadcasting from.
Quarantine.
I'm dead. You're in the wrong year, mate.
Oh, look at this. The planning in this A1. What's it called? This is alright. Ooh, no, it's too. No, it won't work. Let me not fuck this up.
No.
Oh, let's do it like this. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if it's having an effect.
No, it won't work.
Yeah. Yeah, alive.
In 5,
4. Wait, am I not?
This is you are live.
Yeah, but why am I? Oh, it's lagging. Oh yeah. It's a sec behind, isn't it? Right. Okay. Hello. Wait, if I stand up right, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
good.
cool. But yeah.
Okay. It's good. It's good.
But then this is all there, yeah.
Yeah, everything's there.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so this is so random. Oh! But the good thing about it is that it's on YouTube. So basically, we'll do this live. It records, and then this way. Do you know what? This is probably what I'm going to be doing now. I have a topic in mind. I'll just go live. That way, it records itself. You can see afterwards. And this way I don't have to sit down and plan video. Because I think the last time I put a video was August.
Really?
Yeah.
So introduce what you're doing.
Okay. Hey guys, how you doing? Ugo here, MrTickzon himself. So today I just had it in my mind. Man's been busy, so been very busy. And if you know me, and if you see my replies, then you know I'm busy. I'm not airing anybody else. Know me, I'm not beefing anybody, But I've been thinking to do this for a minute about like financial literacy, intro to financial literacy, as opposed and onto other things, as well as like mental health and different things. So people have come to me with different questions and all that kind of stuff. Investing, property, all of those kind of things. And this is kind of very impromptu. I was just thinking, let's do this one. I got my producer in the back. #Serena. Say hey to the people.
Hi, people.
And so I think for the next 45 minutes to an hour, if you got energy, you stay. If you don't have energy, this will be on playback. And I'm gonna talk about financial literacy, most of the things that you need to know. I won't go too in depth in some of these things. Some of these things I've already made videos about, so you can go Tickzon's membership scheme and see that one. And then later on, you start seeing some videos of me helping some people get their finances together, and not just their finances, but life together, Sha. So today, actually, yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, if you have any questions, finance related, money, or any otherwise, then let me know. Slide it into the comments, or it's live on YouTube as well. In either one, producer in the back, you know. she didn't give us that title. I've unpaid worker, Sha.
Honestly.
But yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know. But today we're gonna be talking financial. Oh, look at this. You know, I have a decent handwriting, but this is when now people are gonna start judging my handwriting. And don't be looking at me like that. Okay, so financial literacy, and so I've found ways to kind of simplify these things. Now, obviously, well, if you go on the dictionary or Google or whatever, financial literacy to most people is having a set of skills or knowledge to make informed financial decisions, and so that's essentially what financial literacy is. But for me, when it comes to like financial literacy, I kind of revert it back to more so less financial literacy, but more personal literacy. And when it comes to this, it's more not just about like finances, but it's more, all encompassing. Like what you find is that you can tell a lot about what you care about by how you spend your money. So in terms of, most, if not all your personal goals are financial goals. I want to take a girl on a date. Where's my money? I want to marry. Can I buy a ring? I want children. Can I fund this kid? I want to go abroad. I want to do Dirty December. I want to support my family. I want to stay at home all day. I don't want to work. I want to help people. That's why charities spend 80% of their time fundraising. So whatever you want to do in terms of personal goals, they're also financial goals. And so you can your habits and your behavior is reflected in how you spend your money. There's two big tells about what you care about or what's important to you. One, how you spend your money, and two, how you spend your time. And that will illustrate your priorities. So you can say whatever your priorities are. You can say your priorities is, being healthy or something like that. But you spend like, let me say 0.01% of your time dedicated to health. You can say your time, your most important thing is God, but you spend 5% of your time towards God. Your job, most of us are stealing a living. So it's one of them ones where your what's important to you is reflected in how you spend your time and your money. And so when I talk about personal literacy as opposed to financial literacy, is that when it comes into finances, or making money or giving yourself a better life or having a different life compared to your parents or previous generations or just bettering yourself, it's like 20% knowledge, 80% yourself, like how you behave and all those kind of things, which I'll delve into a little bit. So me, when it comes to personal literacy, it's all about what is your goal. So personally for me, that it's very important for me that people achieve their goals. Like I think the worst thing you can do is live a life full of regrets. Hence why in some of our videos we call it Had I Known, because while I was in school, one of the things we used to say was the worst thing you can actually say is had I known, like a regret, like I wish I'd known. And so that's the reason why I'm kind of very sometimes a bit annoying in the way I kind of try to help push people towards their goals. So whether your goal is to, there's no such thing as a small goal or a big goal. It's just your goal, and whatever you quantify that to be, when people hear about what's your goals, they think that your goal should be, I need to change the world. No, your goal could be just to set up a bakery. Your goal could be just, I want to work and have a quiet life. Whatever your goal is noble and it's up to you, provided it's a goal that stretches you and it gives you satisfaction and fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from achieving things you want as opposed to doing things that you've been told to do and just trying to make it work. And so coming back to that, I say for me, personal literacy is understanding yourself well enough to push yourself towards your goals. So if I go straight into the ABCs of financial literacy, which you find that a lot of these things can be applied to not just finances, but everything in your life. So I like flip chart paper. It's just like there's a connection between me and the paper, somebody said I was killing trees. I'm like, don't worry. Hopefully we elevate your money today that you can plant a tree for every sheet I use, So we've got A, B, C, A, B, C. Okay, so these are the ABCs of financial literacy, yeah? Cool. And so on this side, we got assets, we got budget. In fact, I've actually used too much of space, but don't worry. And here we've got credit. Here, on this side, we've got attitude, we've got behavior, and we have control. And then my assets in between here, I had it on both sides, but I've rejigged this thing since I came up with it. And then over here, I'll just call it accumulation. And this is more the process. So if you understand this, you'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be fine when it comes to finances. And not just finances, but in terms of how you do your life. What I find most times, because I've met people who are making less than me, making more than me, X, Y, Z, and they've come to me with advice or X, Y, Z, and you find there's people who are making triple what I'm making, but they're struggling for peas. One little thing that happens, they're now struggling. There's anxiety about money and stuff like that. And what you find a lot of times is that with a lot of people, it's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And most times when it comes to finances, how do you manage the one you have? Like a lot of people say, oh, my issue is I need more money. Your problem is not more money. Your problem 9 times out of 10 is not more money. Most people's problems 9 times out of 10 is not more money. It's about how much money do you keep? What's your priorities? Where is your money going to? Are you even trying to get better? You can't say you want to gain more money, but you don't understand money. And you can't say you want to gain more in anything in life. If you want to gain more of something, you go there to understand it. And so, even when other things about people saying that misconception that people say is which is why it's important when I said in the terms of understanding yourself personally to achieve your goals. So one word that I don't like people using is whenever I ask them okay, these are your dreams and these are your goals and these are what you want to do in terms of finances. What is it that you want? And so people will tell me, oh, I just want to be comfortable. And so obviously comfortable is that's a very vague word. So then I drill into it with some people. It's like, okay, I want to be comfortable. What does comfortable look like? And then you can't achieve anything in terms of your goals without it being somewhat set. So that's the reason why when people come to define what is comfortable, they don't have no clue what that looks like. And if you don't have a target, if it's 10K a month, it's a 5K a month, well, how much would really be for you to be I'm comfortable? And if you don't have a number for that, then you'll find that you'll never be satisfied with whatever you get. And you're going to continue this life, get to 2 million, get to 10 million and still be unsatisfied because you have no idea what comfortable means to you. And funny enough, I did a workshop sometime earlier this year. And when I was doing it with this girl, well, she went down the comfortable route. I just want to be comfortable, blah, blah, blah. I just want to be able to. And then as we're drilling it down, the funny thing is that, the things that she started defining as what is her, what's it called? Would make her comfortable. She'd already achieved it. So she had no clue. She was already comfortable, but this idea that she, everything she needed is pay my rent, do this, could go on holiday, could enjoy, blah. She already achieved it. So in terms of being comfortable, that she's already reached her baseline, but didn't realize. And so when it comes to finances, a lot of times you got to be able to, kind of bring yourself more into understanding yourself in terms of achieving it, because most times we're our own worst enemy. And that's pretty much for most things.
So you have a question.
Go for it.
Where can I invest and be sure of 50% profits in months?
50% profit in months. You're not a serious candidate. So look, again, I'll touch on investing small here, and I'm not saying it to be rude to say you're not a serious candidate, but this is, I think me and my friend were discussing, me and the producer in the back were discussing, one of these days I'm going to go live, we're going to talk property. One of these days I'm going to go live, we're going to talk investments. And I'll get back to this in a second. Again, taking the highway is always the best way. If you do what's hard, your life will be easier. If you do what's easy, your life will be hard. Most people go into things for fast money. That's the reason why the lottery is, people have been doing the lottery for years, but if people take the same money they put in the lottery, they would have actually have more money than and invested it, they would have more money now. So if you're telling me that you're looking for fast money, about 50% return, then you're not serious in terms of, or have a realistic expectation of what investing looks like. Now, I know most investors make it look sexy about, I'm going to put this money in and going to get it fast. That's why a lot of people are attracted to crypto, because most people are attracted to crypto are gambling more than anything, or in investment speak, they're speculating. They don't really know what they're investing into. There's more hope and feels. But you have to understand, if you're in any kind of asset class that it's got enough risk for you to go 50% in a couple of months, that is the same asset class that can make you go zero in the same time frame. And so slow and steady always wins the race. For most people, if they invest in just an index fund, and again, this is not financial advice, think about it before you put your money in, because even the most shorting, there's no guarantee that you make money. But then this is about risk. Now, I used to say before, and this is kind of like a known fact to everybody, the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk. And for those who keep it so safe, then you'll lose your money just based on inflation, just based on not challenge yourself. But if you're looking for something to invest to get 50% profit, then you're not serious about investing, because if you're trying to look to build long-term wealth or long-term riches or whatever, there's a difference between rich and wealthy. If you're trying to build long-term wealth, it's a slow and steady race. If you think about like building a house, if you rush and build a house in a week, don't be surprised when the first wind comes, it falls down. They take time to build houses, and that's the same thing about wealth, because if you're trying to build wealth, at least in my opinion, you should build wealth that can sustain. I know some people feel like, oh, live for today, not tomorrow, but when tomorrow comes now, you'll be crying about what you didn't do yesterday. So think about it. 50% return. No, I mean, there's places you can go and put your money, but I'm not the one that's going to send you there. So,
having said that, somebody also asked, are you a financial advisor?
I already said, and this is not financial advice. If you need financial advice, go and be a certified financial advisor. I am currently not a financial advisor, but again, for me, it's always about passing knowledge and helping people improve and helping people get to their goals and stuff like that. And so most times what holds people back is knowledge. So, you're not paying me for anything. Everything is free and all the kind of things. I'm not selling no course, no class or whatever. If you seek me out personally, that's different. Then you're taking my time differently. This is me giving away my time and giving away some knowledge in order to help people around me, because the important thing is for all of us to grow. So, with everything I say, I'm not gospel, but, judge what I say based on the merits and whether it improves your life. If it doesn't improve your life, let me know. If it did improve your life, let me know. But again, one of the biggest things you're going to have to learn in this life for anybody is to discern from all the advice you get. So I will never tell somebody that my advice is golden. In fact, I don't really like to, when people ask me advice, I'm a bit wary. It's only, I'm still I kind of give people options. I don't really like to tell people what to do, even if I know what I feel may be the right answer, because ultimately it's your own personal life to live. So same with that guy asking me, or girl asking me 50%, no. I wouldn't tell you something like that. And, before now you go and lose all your money, and you probably will with the way you're going. This is how everywhere, I'm not gonna lie, every time when somebody comes, every couple months, someone's like, Forex, crypto, blah, blah, blah. First rule of investing, don't invest in things you don't understand. If you don't understand it, don't invest in it. I'm not investing in what's it called? Crypto, because even though I understand it to the same level, I don't trust it as an asset class to mean anything. You have a 24-hour market. Don't do this to me. All right, cool. So when it comes to assets, when it comes to this, I don't know if this is a hexagon or whatever. I don't know. I haven't got a name for this yet. But again, this is the knowledge. This is yourself. And I understand most times people, you might have some idea or understanding about the knowledge of financial literacy, but you yourself are going to be the one that flops it. Hence why the hardest advice to take is your own. And so that's the reason why a lot of people, it's easier to tell people, like, all of us can tell, oh, you should invest, or you should do this. But half the people that sometimes are telling people to invest are not investing themselves. And so it's a roundabout way. So if I start off on this side about, let me go on the A. So when it comes into, building wealth, it's not about, it's not about money, it's about building assets. Assets is anything that, can increase in value over time, or provides a meaningful value to yourself, your life, or or what you're doing. Essentially, it holds wealth. So a lot of us have different levels of assets, and some things we consider as assets are not assets. And they're different from liabilities. Now, we all have some level of liabilities, we'll never get rid of it. But basic principle to understand is an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So, if I was to ask most of you, is the house you're living in an asset? Most of you will say yes. The house that your mama and your papa bought that you're still living there, or the one that you bought that you're now living in, or the one that you bought with a friend or whatever. If you're living in a home, that home as a residential home is not an asset. It's a liability purely because on a monthly basis, it's taking money out of your account. It's not putting money in your account. Now, so a lot of people say it's an asset because it's building value over time with capital gains and property appreciation. Now, first of all, property does generally go up, but it doesn't always go up. I mean, in our lifetime, for most of us, unless you're under the age of 12, which then again, if you're here talking finances, cool. But how the market has crashed before, the way the market is going, it's all cycles and cycles. So, and even if you now argue, oh, if I sell it, it now becomes an asset because I get the money, you still need someone to live on. So when you sell that house, you take 3/4 of the money and go and buy a new house, and you still go and start paying mortgage, council tax, and everything. So an asset would be, your car. If you're just for personal use, it's not an asset, but if you're using it to work, it's an asset. A lot of different things can be assets and stuff like that. Your job is an asset. So, especially for this one is just a side comment to all those people who are doing side hustle and stuff like that, or, starting their own business and stuff like that. Don't forget your main job that's helping fund your side hustle or side dream or stuff like that, and then end up messing up both dreams because you didn't, take time to develop that. Now, so basically your goal to some extent in financial literacy terms is gaining more assets. That's the reason why most millionaires or whatever, or most rich people don't necessarily have a lot of taxable income. Even if you went to go and tax the rich, you can't tax the rich because they don't actually, the assets that they use or they put their money in isn't taxable. So if you use PAYE, which is what most of us are on, paid on payroll, which they're not on, most of them, that's the reason why most of them will take stock options, most of them will take it in property, most of them will lock it up in different things, use it to buy another business, because those are different asset classes that help build wealth, and they're taxed differently, and they are different asset classes. So their taxable income, some of them goes to zero, because most of us, our taxable income is just PAYE. If you're self-employed, taxable income is different. And so this is about building more assets. So focus more on assets as opposed to just, just getting money or getting liabilities or stuff like that. And so basically that comes down to how you decide to spend your money, Sha. If you want to live life for today, not tomorrow's satisfaction, that's your own personal budget. Now this one is strategy. So this is how you strategize for your money. Now, a lot of people don't like a budget because they feel like it's very rigid. It feels like it's controlling them. It's almost like going on a diet. If people will go on a diet and they feel that very restricted, and then most times after doing a diet for 2-3 months, then they feel like they've been punishing themselves to some extent, and then they now move mad. They go on bed cheat days, and then before you know it, they're paying gym membership and they haven't gone for gym for a minute. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter who you are, you have a budget. The only difference is whether you're in control of your budget or your budget is just in control of you. So most people, if you go to any financial advisor, well, not any, but most of them, or anybody that's going to talk to you in terms of finances and do a proper in-depth, they would probably recommend that you bring the last 3 months of your statements, both credit cards, everything across the board, and let's go through them. And because a lot of you, man, you're just tapping, and you're not looking. But you will find that over the last couple of months, you're pretty much spending money on over the same things. You're pretty much spending over the same thing. So when you budget, budgeting is a taboo word to some people. It feels almost like restriction and stuff like that. But this is your strategy. And so you're either in control of your budget or you're not in control of your budget. And so either way, you have a budget. So that one you just have to deal with. But if you say you want to buy a house, that's probably a 3-year, 4 or 5 year thing you need to do. You need to start budgeting for that now. If you want to go on holiday, okay, cool. Budget your money for that in mind. The time when most people are struggling for money or struggling for cash is a week before payday. So instead of, it's because like that's the time when everyone is the first payday weekend, everyone's moving mad. It typically lines up with like Black Friday or Christmas or stuff like that. Like the worst one for people is the Christmas to January, because most people get paid early for Christmas, spend ball out for Christmas because it's been like 2-3 weeks since November pay, so they feel like they're moving mad. Then December pay comes in like second week of December, and then before you know it, it's 6-7 weeks before January pay. Like that's a struggle. Don't get it twisted. I know how it feels, but like I did it the once, I never did it again. But like if you budget, then you can strategize for it. And so if you say, okay, you tell me your goal is to buy a house in 2 years' time or a year's time, and I ask you how much you're saving is zero, how much you're saving per month, you don't know. If you're telling me that if I ask you how much percentage you're actually putting towards savings, you don't know. So same thing with like people who struggle with payday. When people go on holidays as well, most people don't budget for it. What most people do is that the payday before their holiday is the one that gets the biggest hit, and then you take 2 months after that payday trying to recover, and so you're doing too much stop start. So when it comes to budgeting, you need to kind of make this a staple thing of, okay, I know I've got regular bills, I know I've got this, I've got that. The easiest way to start budgeting for anybody is take your definite recurring payments, so minimum payments on credit cards, any direct debits, gym memberships, any of those things, contributions to home, think money that has to leave your account. Look at that, tally that up, how much it is. If, in my opinion, make all your direct debits and all of that stuff come out from the same account. Put all that money in that account and just leave it. Standing order to one different account. It has all the money that you're supposed to pay, so you know that nobody should ever call your name again saying that you owe them money. And then from the rest, I would say take a minimum of 20%, save it, and then spend the rest. So budgeting. We'll come back into depth in most of these things again. Now credit. Now so let's say this is goals, strategy, and these are tools. So when it comes to credit, these are the tools that are available. When it comes to credit, when it comes to financial instruments in general, when I say financial instruments, I'm saying loans, anything that you go to the bank or credit union, any of these things, investing, all these different things. These are all just tools. Yeah? So all of these are just tools. And when I say credit, I'm talking, how do you use these tools to get where you need to go? Is it good to get a loan? Depends. Is it good to get a credit card? Depends. Is it good to get a debit card? Depends. How useful is your credit score? Depends. Since I've done, I've recently done some business and stuff like that. My credit score has tanked now because I've changed address, I've changed a lot of different things, I've changed a lot of these different things. But in reality, right now, I don't need my credit score right now in this present moment because I've done everything I need to do sharply. And I know that I know what to do within the next 6 months. It will bounce back. So next year when I need it again. So credit score, credit card, other credit things like loans, what other government stuff are out there. So savings accounts, there's loads of different things out there. Investing. So when I look at credit, I just think of anything that can either earn you money, lose your money, or can give you money for free, or all these kind of things. So lifetime ISA would come under this because you get free money, help to buy ISA, all these different schemes and stuff like that in terms of you strategizing to get your goals, essentially. So similarly in terms of budgeting, and when I say these things, it's like obviously this is for finances, but this is also in terms of life. What's your goal? What's your strategy to achieve those goals? And then what do you have the tools available? So like I said, sometimes people will say, I need more money, but 9 times out of 10, your issue is never resources. Are you resourceful enough? Now, on this side of the equation, so this is more let's say the finance side of things. This is the you side of things. And so here we got attitude, behavior, and control. So attitude, this one, I'll call this mindset. This one, behavior, I'll come to how you set your mind. See that mindset, set your mind, see them ones? And then when it comes to control, this one is just, there's no fancy anything, Sha. I'll come up with something at some point. But this one is just more checks and balances / accountability. And so especially if you're going to do this by yourself, it's very important that you have to understand you get this in point. Now, when I say I can look at your bank statement and I can tell a lot about you. Now, so some of you, you're emotional eaters. For some of you, you're emotional shoppers. When you're sad, you buy more clothes. I can just see, okay, I can look at your bank statement and realize this is when you were sad and this is when you were good. And then a lot of times when people come to like fix their financial issues or stuff like that, they now attack the finances side of things, but they don't attack the real reason why that's expressed in your finances. You know, some of us spend money because we're bored. Then get a hobby. Some of us spend comfort eat because we're sad. Deal with what's making you sad as opposed to just trying to say I'm going to still be sad, but I'm not going to buy the food that was comfort the sadness. Replace it. You know, if you easy example, some of us take Uber and we're like, oh, spending so much money on Uber, spending so much money on Uber. The reason why I'm spending so much money on Uber is because we're not managing our time properly. Well, I mean, I was doing it, I was waking up, you know, we're waking up late. We're leaving the house late. If we had left 20 minutes earlier, we could have easily taken the train. If we went to bed on time and woke up earlier on. So when it comes to finance, a lot of times that eats our finances, it's not even about like not knowing finances or not having money. You know, when I moved out the first time, I had more time in the evening because I was closer to work and I didn't have to spend so much money on food out because I made more time to meal prep. You know, if you saw me, I'm out here chefing it up in the night, 5 different things. I made more time to cook. So I'm doing meal prep. So I didn't have to actually spend a lot of money on food. You know, I reduced my food budget in terms of spending a month to less than £200 a month. And I don't get twisted. I know how to cook, so I'm eating like a king. But again, let's go down. So we've got attitude. So that's the mindset around finances, money, life, and in general. If you don't have a positive outlook in life, then don't be surprised that you know that the outcomes are not necessarily positive. And I'm not talking about like affirmations and stuff like that because affirmations only get you so far. Affirmations is a quick fix to make you feel good, but it's not a permanent thing to help you move forward in terms of your outlook in life. That's why when people have good things happen to them, they're bare surprised that good things can happen to them. Obviously, for me personally, I live this life with absolutely no expectations. You know, it's one of them ones where it's like expectations is what it just breeds disappointment for most times. So I'm just happy with life, yeah. But it's particularly in this context of when we're talking finances, your attitude to money. Now, some people told me the love of money is the root of all evil, or yeah, the lack of money is the root of all evil. But at the same time, everybody's going to church and asking God for money. Like, let's make it make sense. Do you want God to bless you with evil? Is it lack of? You guys need to make it make sense. The truth of the matter is that money has no feelings. It don't care about you. We printed it. In fact, some of it we just could make it up with code. Money is just a tool, you know. And money most times doesn't necessarily change people, but it will only reveal who you were. So if you were not really generous when you had small, you probably won't be generous when you have big. You know, if you're selfish when you have small, then you'll be selfish when you have big. Some people are just not selfish or not because they don't have the opportunity to be selfish. It's one of them ones you're in the house, you have to share with everybody. But once you get out, you forget everybody. And once you start making, so when it comes to these things, it's all about your attitude to money. So you have to understand that, you know, or not just attitude to money, but attitude towards getting your goals. Now, for me, I do believe that everybody can achieve their goals. I do believe that there's nobody out here that can't achieve their goals. But I now have come to like an appreciation that a lot of people, a fair few people will not achieve their goals because the truth of the matter is that in terms of the attitude to actually achieving their goals, a lot of people not necessarily wanted to put in the amount of effort or work to actually achieve it. So to some extent, you know, anybody can do it, but not everybody will do it basically. Now, this is your mindset. Now, when it comes to behavior, it's how you set your mind. So again, this ties in on the same level as, they're on the same level to some extent because when it comes to your goal, your attitude and your mindset needs to visualize that and have the mindset to the goal. So, you know, and this all comes down to how you now make your plan. Now, if I ask you, you know, somebody's like to me, oh yeah, blah, 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 things aren't going well. So people are, you know, this is good. You know, somebody's like, my life is going well, but I don't really feel like it's going well. My first question is, okay, do you have a plan? Do you believe in the plan? Because most times, if you believe in the plan on how things are going, then you won't be stressed about, you know, the goal, because you, even the little things, you'll be saying, okay, this is going well. It's almost, and the thing is, the indicators of you getting towards your goal are so subtle. For example, if you have two friends who are bickering, who are doing, I'm not talking to this person at all, this person is dead to me, but you're that friend trying to bring two people together, good luck. But you know, it's one of those ones, you're trying to bring two people together, and you see that they're arguing and they're fighting, and you're thinking, oh, this is terrible, this is terrible. No, that's beautiful. They were talking before, now they're fighting. We're one step closer, we're one step closer to achieving the goal. So they're on the same level. So now when it comes to setting your mind and in terms of your behavior, now look, this is where you have to come and understand yourself. This is where, when you come into the strategy, I tell people, never go 0 to 100. That is the wrong way. You are 100% going to flop. That's that simple. If you're going from 0 to 100, it's only one way down. Other people are taking steps like this. So when they jump down, they maybe come here. You're taking a step like this. There's only one step down if you slack. And so, which is why when people, especially New Year's is coming now, when people set New Year's goals, they go hard in the beginning. They got so much enthusiasm, so much energy. It's like, I'm going to the gym every day. I go 3 times a week and blah, blah, blah. And after 2 months, you can't hack it, because motivation is nice. I like to motivate people. I like to make people feel positive. But motivation is not necessarily what's going to get you through this. When you set up your mind, it's about you getting yourself to a point of discipline. And so similarly, like going to the gym, I don't go from not going to the gym for the last 2 years to now saying I'm going to go 3 times a week or 5 times a week. If anything, the best step, is to wake up in the morning and go out and do 5 minutes. I tell people, if you want to start going to the gym, let's say you want to go to the gym every day or something like that, you want to go to the gym twice a week or whatever the frequency is, at least 3 months before you go to the gym, in my opinion, wake up in the morning every day, 3 times a week, and just do whatever you want to do, but 4 sets of 5 squats, 5 press-ups, 5 sit-ups, and 5 pull-ups. Just simple stuff. And do that 3 times a week for the next 2 months. If you can do that, then go to the gym by all means. But you have to understand, when it comes to doing these things, you're taking yourself from 0 to 15. If you like, make it 25. Make it in achievable chunks and get yourself to more so move from the person who was at 0 to become the person who can be at 100. You won't just turn into better habits tomorrow. So if it's like going to the gym, the first thing you need to do is become the kind of person that actually gets up and gets ready to even exercise. Make it the most easiest way. So if you're going to go on your budget, when people go from 0 to 100, your character can't hack it. You've been doing my guilty thing is, sometimes it's Five Guys, sometimes it's Nando's. But what I used to do is that every month I'll give myself, one splash, £20 for the month. I splash it on Five Guys or stuff like that, or something like that. But it's about setting your mind. So, okay, let me say, you want to go on holiday this year, or let's say you want to buy a house in, like, let's say in 4 years' time. And then, okay, if you want to buy a house now, that's the goal. You want to buy a house. All right, what's the strategy? In fact, we'll come and do that once I finished all of this, actually, and give you a practical example of how you use this to kind of help yourself. But when your behavior, this is one of the things that you need to analyze with yourself. Okay, what is the thing I can't do without? Do I really like Costa coffee? Do I really like guacamole? What's my guilty pleasures? When I get lazy, what do I do? I like pretzels from Mr. Pretzel. When Mr. Pretzels plus Five Guys milkshake, it's a vibe. Wood Green is across the road from each other. I'm going for both of them. And so you got to think about how you do in the morning when you pass Subway, you smell it. Is that going to, and again, don't say yourself up to failure. Maybe you have to find new routes. Then this one is about control. And you have to give yourself checks and balances and accountability. And so how do you make sure that you stay on track? Now, easy piece of advice for most people, if I'm being honest, is that a lot of things, not just finances, but a lot of things in life, it's harder when you try to do it by yourself. They say if you want to go fast, go by alone. If you want to go far, go together. So for most of you, a good thing to get would be an accountability partner. And so this is somebody that checks in on you to make sure that you're on job. You know, most people in the context of a relationship, this kind of naturally comes out. That's the reason why, you know, the statistic of married couples and stuff like that being more successful is more, it's not just, it's not about them being married or in a relationship, it's more because they have somebody that will typically keep the other person accountable to their goals or to what they're trying to do. But when you're trying to do it by yourself, you know, excuses always sound better to those who are making it. So for us, it's easier for us to tell ourselves, oh yeah, you know what, I worked hard today, I deserve this. Fam, like even the word deserve, sometimes we use that thing too lightly. You know, sometimes we don't deserve that relaxation, sometimes we don't deserve the cream, sometimes we don't deserve that early sleep, sometimes we don't deserve these things. But but when we come and control and give ourselves checks and balances, it comes down to how do we plan ourselves to create balance so we give ourselves the least chance of failure. You know, even me in my life, I'm very busy, but depending on who you are, you think I'm working all the time. Depending on who you are, you think I'm enjoying living life all the time. If you know, depending on who you are, you think I'm sleeping all the time. It's all about balance. That's the only way to not necessarily burn yourself out. Even though I do go through the periods of burning myself out, but all of this is about how do you balance yourself to actually achieve your goals. And if you're slacking on any of these things, you're not necessarily going to get there. Like 100%, you're probably not going to get there. And if you get there, the question is whether you're going to sustain it. Hence why there's a statistic of like, you know, athletes, you know, getting money is not the issue. Most athletes after across all the sports, 3 to 5 years, majority of them go bankrupt. You know, there's very few footballers right now that are still living life from what they did. You know, some of them are still coming off a clout. That's the reason why some of them are still pundits. That's the reason why some of them are still jumping into ad deals or random things, or you find a footballer you weren't even listening to bear that is on a random ad or something like that. Same thing. So a lot of times, you know, how do you handle £10? You know, obviously, if you look at it, if I bring the Bible for a second, just in terms of stories as opposed to any kind of preaching kind of thing, you look at the story of the guys, the free servants that the master gave a coin. Obviously, man was talking about it as a parable. He gave this one coin, this one gave this one 3, and gave this one 5. The one with 3 and 5 multiplied it. The one with 1 went and buried it. And so again, similar to what I was saying, the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk. And so, and if you don't do it, money is one of those things that it moves. It moves to the people that they know that can manage it. And if you can't manage it properly, then it's not going to come to you. It's as simple as that. And that's the reason why that's really what it comes to. How do you manage it? You know, and so it's really about, it's all about management. And then when it comes over here, in terms of the process, it's all about accumulation. You know, accumulation of assets, accumulation of, you know, in terms of skills of yourself. Accumulation essentially is just the process of what's going on in terms of as you're going along. For me, the journey is what matters more. So I don't really personally care much about my goals too tough. You know, they're kind of just like milestones for me. But the process is what I like in terms of, I'm very good at managing money, like, you know, or I try at least to be very good at managing money. But every couple of months, every year, I find I could be better. In fact, you know, one of the beautiful things that I've learned in this life is that I don't know anything. And so it's one of those ones that every year, every time I'm learning something new, I'm trying to get better, I'm always getting better and all those kind of things. And, you know, for me, if we now take into a nice example of like buying a house, for example. And so, in fact, instead of, you know, we'll go into the house thing now. Let's say you want to buy a house. That's the goal, to buy a house. Now, let's say, okay, let's bring this point. Let's say the goal is a house. The goal is a house. So you say you want to buy a house because you think property is the way to go. Again, property is not always the best way to go. To be honest, sometimes renting is better than buying. But that's a discussion for another day. So let's say the goal is buying a house. All right. So when you sit down and think about this, because you know, with all these things, you gotta think about it. You gotta give yourself the time to actually be able to achieve this. So if the goal is a house, for example, or property or whatever it may be, in investing, okay, cool. How much is this gonna cost? Where is it going to be? You know, what location? Is it London? Is it whatever? Is it what? So this is the asset that you're looking to get. It's a house. So where is it gonna be? How easy is it to get this asset? What area is it? What's the property values? What's the council tax values in those areas? What's the transportation of those? What is all the things that encompass this thing? And basically, in general, everything included, how much is it going to be? And to some extent, you know, how much will it be, sorry, at the time or that you want to purchase it? So let's say you want to buy a house, it's London, You know, the average house in London is maybe 400k or whatever. Okay, cool. You're a first time buyer. You haven't looked at the market now. You're looking at 5%. Probably have to do 10%, but maybe in 4 years' time, 5% will be back. But let's say you have to do 10%. So you know that you need a minimum of 40k to put down. Okay, cool. We'll come back to this in a second. Now you come to budget. Remember A, B, you come down to budget. Okay, cool. You know that you're making, let's say you take home, I don't know, let's say 1.5, yeah? Something standard, that's generally what a graduate out of uni would get, 1.5. Okay, budget, okay, cool. Because sometimes people will now say, the asset comes first before the budget. Because sometimes people will say to me, I want to buy a house next year. Where do you want to buy a house? London. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Where in London? Like Greenwich. Okay, cool. Cool. That's a popping area. You know, they got the O2 area. Okay, cool, cool. All right. Have you seen the property prices? You haven't looked at it and stuff like that. So when you say you haven't saved much or you've gotten 10k or something like that, you're not even close to the thing. So then you now have to realize when it comes to the strategy point of view, you might have to adjust your timeline if this is what you want, or you have to adjust your goal. So then you might think, okay, maybe another area in London, you know, or maybe is it closer to my mom or closer to my dad? Okay, what's my things considering for this to actually be an asset to me? Because there's a lot of consideration. Let's say it's buying a house. Okay, you buy it in Hertfordshire. Your work is not in North, so your commute is even long. Your work is in South. You have no family there, all this kind of thing. In the general thing of terms, it's not really an asset to you because if you're living there and you have no one to see, then depending on who you are, if you're good at being alone, this is not an asset to you. You got to think about it properly. Now, when it comes to budget now, let's say we're going to put away £200 a month. That's just over 10%. £200 a month. That's all you think that you can do. You know, not even because of rent. Let's say you're living at home. This is all you think you can do. £200 per month. That's what you're going to save. Okay, £200. How many times does that go into 40k? Okay, cool. Now I have to do maths. 200 do. So, is that correct? No, that's wrong. It's 0. So is that 800 months? Correct? Sorry, no, this is wrong. Look at this. I had a whole engineering degree, can't do maths. Yeah, 800 weeks, 800 months, isn't that? So at 800 months, 800 times 200, then you get 40k. Yeah, she's checking the calculator. I love it. Am I right? 800 months, right? My degree is hanging on this. I got a master's in engineering. Chai. This is, come on. Yeah. No, it's wrong. 200. It's division now, it's 200. 200 months.
What was your calculation? 40,000?
40,000 divided by 200. 200, yeah? Chai, wow, look at that. Okay. See, this is the reason why I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, so this is 200 months if you're doing that £200 a month. So 200 months, I'm not even going to do that by 12, I'm going to do that 10. Yeah, that's 20 years at £200 a month for you to get 40k. 20 years. That's the reason why people would be like, okay, I'm not going to be able to buy this thing. Okay, cool. Now, I divided it by 10, though. I didn't divide it by 12. It's probably less than 20 years. Let's call it 18. But I'm going to go with 10 just because I don't want to fumble the bag on the maths right now. Okay, cool. Let's say this. We turn this 200 now into 400 now. That turns into 10 years. If we turn this 400 into 800, that goes from 10 years to 5 years. So now you can now do it in 5 years. But now, when it comes to your strategy, can you live on 700? Okay, cool. Then you have to come back to the goal. You need to change this. Okay, then it comes out to your budget. You now need to increase your income. And that's where accumulation comes. So at each stage of these things, accumulation is a process that will always find itself in each of the steps. And so then you know, okay, I need to increase my income, or maybe I need to combine my income with somebody. Hence why most people get their first property with Bay, because it's easier to save on a double income, especially if both of you are moving out and renting, or if you're at home and you're contributing money. You know, for me, in my opinion, if you just come out of uni, your parents should give you like at least a 1 year grace of any contribution to find yourself on your feet before you start contributing, in my opinion, because it doesn't make sense that you come from overdrafts to come back home immediately to start contributing up to £500 a month because of uni. Most of your parents are not saving it for you. So personally, for me, if you know, that's something that you should be able to, that you should discuss, that you're just coming out of uni and then you should be able to kind of get yourself back on your feet before you contribute. Not that you're not trying to contribute. All right, cool. So we talked about budgeting, and then when you come to this now, you know, you've talked about the long-term goal. Okay, how do you facilitate this on a monthly thing? Okay, you got the £200 here. Okay, you got 1 free to live on. If you did it £200, you don't mind buying it in 20 years. Let's go with that assumption. Okay, how do you manage this money? What's your needs, wants, savings, debts, investments? Everything you do will fall into one of these categories. All right, let me actually write it out properly. Needs, wants, savings, investments, and debts. Everything that you, in terms of your finances, will find itself in something like here, you know, and then you have to differentiate that. And so on a monthly basis, how do you put into each of these things? In reality, barring debts, there shouldn't really be when you're starting out, barring debts to some extent, there shouldn't really be a zero in any of these things. I mean, in terms of when you're starting out, then there can be a zero in investments, because I would say save first before you invest, but do as you want. And then when we come to C, which is credit. Now, again, I said this is tools. All right, cool. So we said 40K, mad thing. All right. A lot of times when it comes to finances, it's less can I get money or stuff like that. It's what are the resources available. It's more of a how can I do this to get there. All right, cool. When it comes to credit, here's tools. All right. If you're trying to buy a house, for example, there's Help to Buy ISO, where when it comes to your deposit, it gives you 25% over. There's Lifetime ISO. There's Right to Buy. There's a First Home Scheme. There's Shared Ownership. There's Help to Buy Equity Loan. And so on and so forth. There's high yield savings accounts. There's so many things out there, so many tools out there. Okay, cool. A good credit score. Wow, I'm already writing on myself. Will assist you in getting the best savings accounts or the best debit accounts, current accounts, high yield current accounts. Because your credit score is just a tool. It's your financial CV that reflects how you handle money to banks and lenders and anybody that can give you a product. Well, a high yield current account, for example, I think something like TSB and NatWest were giving 3% as long as you paid in at least 1.5 into the account, and you get 3% and 5% respectively into your account. You could just pay your salary in and they're just giving you money for your salary you paid in. And then that's 3% extra in terms of your money that you didn't have to work for, but your money's working for you. And so a lot of times we talk about, if you're going to do Help to Buy equity loan, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, if I'm being very honest, your deposit goes from 40K to 10K maybe, depending on the area you're buying, because houses have to be minimum, 450K or something like that in London for you to go to Help to Buy equity loan. And so you do 5%, government does 20%, and then they give you 75% mortgage. And so when you think about the goal, budget, and credit, now, then these things can now alternate and change. So you now know finally, okay, the budget I need to actually get to might be 10K. Now at £200 a month, that goes down to 50 months. That's less than 5 years. Just like that. It went from unachievable to achievable. And we've got a strategy to achieve it. And so most of us actually give up on actually achieving the goal because the goal seems so big to achieve. So we don't even start saving. And then we start saying, oh my days, if I started saving before. And a lot of times, in terms of cutting out things into your life, to save, it's not about the money that you save, it's more the consistency of saving. If you save £20 a week, if you look at your week, if you're somebody that goes out on a night out every weekend, if you save, you're probably spending at least, I would say, outside of uni, probably spending about at least £20-30 easy, Ubers, drinks, prees, all of that kind of stuff. We're not calculating your time. If you're in uni, you're probably doing easy, £10. Let's say that you can be doing £10 or something like that. You can survive. £5 ticket. You and your boys contribute. You make it work. But if you were to save £20 a week, by the end of the year, you would have £1,040. And that's just like, oh wow. Even when you're saving the £200 a month, it doesn't feel like a lot of money. But when you say your first 1K, you're like, shit, 4 digits, And so to save 100K, to save 10K, to invest whatever, you have to start somewhere, and you have to start with where you are. And so then when you look at all of these things, and you look at strategy and stuff like that, then I'll still do it here. Then you come back to it and you think, okay, the other ABC. You look at your attitude towards it. Okay. Is this something you want? This asset that you're looking for, this goal, because a lot of people talk about financial literacy because it's a buzzword, and I want to be financially free, I want to be this and this, this. And most people talk about it, but the question is, in your day-to-day life, does it reflect that you really want this? If you think about something that you really want and how you move when you really want it, whether that be food, whether that be to meet your friends, to see your boy, to chase a girl, to go on holiday, to get that ice cream that you want, or you want that particular brand of drink, like you go to free what's it called, bar or free places just to get that particular thing you want to do. You spend 4 hours window shopping for that particular dress that you really wanted. Do you really want this goal? And why do you want it? Because if you don't know why you really want this thing beyond that, it seems like it should be proper for you to do, then you're probably going to fail. Because your mindset needs to be, okay, what is going to keep me going when I wake up in the morning and I feel like I've got savings. I'd rather be flying out to with my boys and my girls to Cyprus. What are you working towards? Now, in terms of the behavior, this is probably where most people will struggle. Well, behavior and control, but let's talk about the behavior part of things. Now, if you started from zero and you've not been saving at all, and you're someone that's never saved before, it's very easy to turn back to that person that never saves before. If you're someone that's never been this consistent in saving money, then it's not easy. Even when it comes to the attitude part of it, which encompasses, it's more about you. A lot of people, they find it hard to save. They find it harder to save if they don't have a goal towards their saving. So some people that are saving, it's like, okay, I've got 10K in my account, what am I using it for? And it's, which is not necessarily the best way to be looking at it, because realistically, hard times will catch us all. I don't care who you are. Everybody has problem, and somebody will find you and give you problem. And it's just a matter of time until problem hits you. And you shouldn't really be running away from problem. You should just be asking God for more skills and more triumphs to overcome the problems that come, because problems equals growth, So if you look at anybody that was in the Bible, for my, or even Quran or any distance, they had problem. Jesus had problem. Job had problem, man. That guy had problem. But when it comes to the behavior part of it, it's like, okay, what do you have to change in terms of you getting this thing? So like when I was saving for my own property, in terms of behavior, I had to change a lot. I had to, well, not necessarily. I was always somebody who saved, someone that cooked, but you saw that, okay, I went from not making enough time to cook to cooking because I needed to save money. But at the same time, I wasn't compromising on what I was eating. I was eating good. Like, I had my yogurts, my probiotics, I had my squash, I had my lamb chops and steak and, jollof rice, soups, everything. But then everything cost less than maybe £150 a month, and I'm eating 3-course meals a day again, which is why when it comes to accumulation of skills, the next one of those things that helps you save money, which most people don't realize, is cooking. Cooking, all these other things in terms of changing your behavior, going to bed on time or not going to bed on time. Similarly, let's say your goal is to start a business and you're doing it by yourself and you have to package 200 things, and you have to know that you're going to be sleeping less, so you're not going to be going to bed on time. So you have to be able to change your behavior. And so when it comes to the third thing, control. Didn't spell control right. English, maths, everything flopped. When it comes to control, this is another one that, hurts people, because it's like a lot of people would find it hard to keep themselves accountable to themselves. And so a lot of times that comes back to discipline. Are you disciplined enough to actually keep yourself on track? And if you know yourself, this is where you have to, like, when you're analyzing yourself and you know that you're not going to be good at keeping yourself on track, then you pick somebody out who is a friend of yours, or not even a friend of yours. It's actually better to use your enemies than it is to use your friends, to be honest, because they have no skin in the game. They don't mind telling you the truth to your face. Sometimes your friends and the people closest to you are, one, the last people you tell things that you need to tell them, and two, are the last people to tell you what you need to hear because they don't want to hurt your feelings. So sometimes it's counterintuitive. But get somebody that you trust to tell you, to keep you accountable, to call you, to make sure that you're on job. Not somebody that is going to be, you tell that, like, they ask you, you say you want to jog every day, and they ask you, or you want to jog 3 times a week. They ask you what you're jogging, you're like, oh my days, I was tired today, and the person's like, okay, it's all right. You work. No. The person is not necessarily there to give you a lot of sympathy. You're there to just help you keep you accountable to your goals, and because it's your goals. And the only thing that I'll tell you to be wary about in terms of the control point of view, if you have an accountability partner, and this is more of self-reflection for yourself. If the people around you care about your goals more than you, then you flopped and you probably fail. If somebody else cares about what you're doing more than you, then you probably fail. So it's pretty much that simple. Producer, everything okay? but yeah. So basically, they'll probably you probably fail in that, because that's really what it comes down to. So when it comes to financial literacy, for me, it's more a personal literacy point of view of, like, do you understand yourself enough to get to your goals? And so obviously this is a high level look at terms of financial literacy and all these kind of things. You can break these things down more into the individual factors, whether it's credit cards, credit, all those kind of things, budgeting, ways to budget, budgetary strategies. I budget for the future and stuff like that. Control, behavior, attitude, assets. One example of control, for example, is for myself. But when I was saving, I used to tax myself. So I'll give you some little tricks and stuff about how do you control your behavior when it comes to finances and changing up your finances in general. But I used to tax myself, so it's one of those ones where I used to have an emergency fund tax, a savings fund tax, a weekly tax. If I ever, I think on stuff like Monzo and all these kind of things, there's an app for it. I forget what it's called, whereby you can actually what's it called? English. You can actually, anytime you spend money at Five Guys, it will charge you 3 times the amount and then send it to your savings or stuff like that. And so there's ways for you to actually keep yourself accountable beyond just, having an accountability partner. But it's all about habits, ultimately. All these things is that if you're habitual in trying to make money, not necessarily trying to make it fast. If you try to make it fast, you lose it fast, simple. And so if you're somebody that doesn't save, the first thing you want to do is become somebody that saves. If you're somebody that doesn't invest, you want to become somebody that kind of invests. When I started investing, a couple of months ago, I put out a video, showed it, blah blah blah, how I invested. I had 10K invested. That's nice, yeah. But when I started investing, I started doing £1 here or there. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm getting the hang of it. I put £5 here or there. And I started doing £20 here or there. And then I started diverting £100 here or there. But then it was standing orders, was consistent. And it only continued going up until the point I understood myself. And I said, okay, cool, a lot of my money can go there because I understand it, I'm comfortable. And slowly but surely, based on consistency alone, as opposed to 10K slapped on my thing and then I got 10K, And so there's a lot of things that come into it. Now, how long have you been on? How long have you been on?
1 hour, 3 minutes.
1 hour, 3 minutes. Okay, cool. So I'll briefly touch on the investing and house buying, and then I'll cut. And then in another one, I'll go more in depth into housing and in depth into investing and stuff like that. And more into like the different aspects of financial literacy and stuff like that in terms of credit scores, credit cards, all these kind of things. Why you should or shouldn't have these things, why overdrafts are worse than credit cards. But most people don't realize. And also, just as a heads up, that I'm not making a video of it. I don't have the energy. I'm too busy for that. Student loan. If you don't know, as long as you went to uni past 2012, it's likely that our student loan repayments are going to go up. And so there's a proposal to change the threshold from 27,975, which I believe this is right now, to 23K, which means majority of us will end up paying back student loan or paying more back the student loan. And most of us don't really want to pay back student loan, that's true. We don't really want to, but it is what it is. Now, I talked about briefly about financial literacy. I'm going to talk briefly about buying a property and what it actually kind of takes a little bit, and then I think I'll give it like 10 minutes, wrap up. If there's any questions, let me know, and then people have work tomorrow. Now, when it comes into buying a house, now, as opposed to ABC is ADC, okay? It makes it just easier for you to digest it. It's easier for me to kind of come up with each of these things and let you understand. Now, obviously, again, similar to like what we said, what's the goal, what's the budget, what's the strategy, X, Y, Z, that still accounts for this, but then this is specific to housing. Now, this is A, it's for affordability. D is deposit. And C, credit score. Okay? And this is the order of difficulty into achieving those things. All right? So 1, 2, 3, that is the order of difficulty of achieving them. Now, your credit score is the easiest thing for you to do and for you to build up. I have a video on that. I'll probably come back and talk a bit more in depth. I'll probably just be doing lives as opposed to doing videos because it's easier just to stand, talk, and just to get it over with. Your credit score is your financial CV. For those of you who've not taken any form of credit before and think that you're good, that's okay, but nobody knows you. Think of it as, this is Instagram, this is YouTube. If somebody slides into your DM, the first thing you're going to do, slide in the DM, slide in the DM. First thing you're going to do is you're going to go check out their profile. If you have a friend of a friend, they're going to do the FBI, you get your squad out, they do the whole CRB check. Like who's he with, who's she with, who's their history, blah, blah, blah. Did they cheat on them or anything like that? Is he moving mad? That's what banks do when you ask, yo fam, like, how's this person handling the one you gave them? And what counts as a loan or counts as a credit is vast. It's your phone if it's on contract is counts as credit. You see your credit score. If you name your utilities, Wi-Fi, if you're paying for your insurance monthly, a lot of these things now rent. And those who can pull up your credit score are vast. It is very important. This financial CV thing. Like people have lost jobs because their credit score wasn't good. You will not get a house. You won't be allowed to live. You get a share apartment if whatever. I apologize for swearing, all this kind of things. So it can stop you from getting a car, it can stop you from getting insurance, stop you from getting getting high price in utilities. It'll never stop you from getting utilities because they want to make money, sure. And so whenever you're going to compare the market and put all your details, they're actually using it to do a soft search on your credit score to now see what you want to do. But I've gone too much into credit score. But credit score is basically, it's one of the things that you need to fix up in terms of buying a house. Now, if you want to buy a house, I always recommend, again, no financial advice, do what you want. If it flops you, I think in Avellino, his son Cassius Clay, he was like, the mortgage advisor is not giving my mom a mortgage because no one told her that credit was a thing. I just told you credit is a thing now. So your credit score, if it's messed up, they're not giving you a mortgage likely. Obviously you can get a mortgage with a bad credit score. You're probably going to put a higher deposit and you're going to get rubbish interest. And interest is a whole topic which we're not going to go into today. I might smell it. I'm not going to really go into it. And so your credit score is the easiest one to do. And if you're going to apply for a mortgage, your decision in principle doesn't give you any guarantee of getting a mortgage. You're going to apply for a mortgage, in my opinion, 8 months before you're looking to actually purchase a home. You should or apply for a mortgage more so than purchase a home, because you can apply for a mortgage and it's 2-3 months before you actually complete. 8 months before that time, you should not get any new credit product on your credit score, on your credit report. So that's no new phone contract, sort that out earlier on. That's no new car insurance being paid monthly, pay it off as well. That's no new loan. If you do, pay it off before the bank realizes. That's no new credit card, that's no new account, that's none of these things, because when it jumps onto your account, even though it's a phone contract, when they do a credit score on it, it sounds like you're looking for too much credit. You're chasing too much money. So then they may instantly reject you, especially if you don't go through a mortgage advisor, which is why it's always best to go through them. And so the reason why 8 months is because it's typically actually 6 months before they look at your last 6 months, whether you've had a new you'll see even like if it's a phone contract on your report, it will say a new credit account has been added in the last 6 months. And what they care is last 6 months. But the reason why I say 8 months is that when you get a new credit product, it can take 2 months before it shows up onto your credit score or your credit report. So if it takes 2 months to get onto there, it could have been 8 months ago, but in 2 months it shows up. It's now 6 months. They're not happy with that. Cool. Deposit. Second hardest one, again, it comes down to budgeting, discipline, all those kind of things. When you come to deposit, this is when you now look at your credit tools and what you can do. As for me, I used everything: high yield savings account, high yield current account, lifetime ISA, help to buy ISA, investing in the stock market, all these different things, flipping it, doing this, doing that. You do what you got to do in order to get this deposit up. And so when people look at the deposit, people think, okay, I want to save 5%. I just need to save 10K and it's okay. No. That's not it. When I look at deposits, it is the deposit money plus, depending on the mortgage advisor you get, they either take a commission, which it means it's free, it's null and void, or that some of them will take 1, 2, or 3% of the what's it called, the house price directly from you, being paid directly from them. Some of them have a flat fee, especially because of COVID now. A lot of them don't look at your deals as being a sure thing, so they'll take an upfront thing because the commission is not guaranteed, because a lot of deals have been falling through purely because of COVID and other things. So deposit, mortgage advisor. Now you got to think lawyer fees, conveyancer fees. There's a lot of fees coming in. Searches, which everybody has to do regardless of whether it's a house or a flat. This is with the council, but you need to pay. Just understand that your lawyers, conveyancers, solicitors, whatever they're called, will charge you for every little thing. If you ask them to print paper, they'll charge you at least £20. They'll charge you for everything. Searches, surveys. If you're going to buy a house, more so than if you're going to buy a flat, you need to think about doing a survey, depending if it's a new build or not. The surveys, when they go in, they look at, there's different levels to it where they look at the structure of the house and all these kind of things, how long it's going to last. There's argon air coming in, the electrics, when they need to do the roof, all these kind of things. And no house is a forever house. You know, all houses, your roof, I think, is it every 19 years or something like that? You should be maintaining it. Same with your electrics, they need to be checked almost every couple of years. Your boiler will only last 7 years. I think your fridge will only last like 5 years. So all these things are running costs, but the survey, depending on what detail you want to know about your home and stuff like that. Closing costs. So if it's a flat or a house, you may have money to pay back to the person who's buying it. So let's say if it's a flat, if there's service charge that they pay for the year, you may have to reimburse them for the last, let's say, 3 months of the year, whatever's there. Again, similar with other things in terms of houses, all that kind of stuff. So there's other fees that come into this. And then obviously for yourself personally, you want to think of moving costs. I know it seems like it's almost impossible, but don't get it twisted. This is a lot of words. But if you think about, if you get your deposit, plus about an extra 5K, you can find it cheap. Again, this is why you really have to go shopping. You want to go for mortgage advisor, you go shopping for a mortgage advisor. You want to go for a lawyer, you go shopping for a lawyer. But understand, the cheaper the lawyer, then possibly the longer it'll take for you to complete your deal. And all that kind of stuff. Conveyancing fees, all those kind of things. And again, when it comes to you thinking about the house itself, when you go to the ABC of budgeting and everything, you got to think on a monthly basis, can I hack this house? All these kind of things, council tax, utilities. There's a lot of things that go into it. Think about it. That's the reason why buying a house is not always the best option. Everyone thinks it's about, you can buy a house and have more financial freedom than, so you can rent and have more financial freedom than somebody that buys a house. Because a lot of us know a lot of people who have struggled because they have a mortgage in their name. Bank wants to take the house. They're trying to do remortgage, all these kind of things. It's not always the nicest thing to go for. So don't get twisted. It's not the best option in all cases. And so if you're somebody that is staying at home and you've been at home 5, 8 years, every time kind of stopping yourself from moving out because I want to buy a home, you need to understand that renting gives you more flexibility and to some extent, so there's advantages to that over buying a home. But in terms of buying a home, deposit plus closing fees, basically. Depending on the mortgage advisor, how much is that? Because it all starts adding up, and then there's little costs, just like moving a house, little costs that just come out from nowhere. Now, the hardest thing for most people to attain is the affordability. I remember a couple of years ago, there was like a comedy skit going around about like a guy goes to the bank, asks for a mortgage, they said no, but he's making the average salary in London. He pays the average rent, but he can't buy the average home in London. It's really what it is. When it comes to affordability, it's not necessarily actually, the affordability is not necessarily worked out in terms of, oh, can I hack paying £500 a month? You know, let's say you get a mortgage on 150 over 20, 30 years, that might come up to like £500 a month or whatever. You can hack that. But for them to give you, 150 as the mortgage, the affordability that they will give you will be about 4.5 times to max 6 times your income. I don't know why they come up with that, but it's just, and that's not the full thing, because they'll do subtraction. They won't take your full income. They'll probably take like 0.8% of your income, all that kind of stuff. And so let's say you're earning 25K. You have low expenses, blah, 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 your low maintenance and stuff like that. You probably won't be able to afford this house. You probably 4 times this would probably be 100. Most of them are 400 4 times. I think recently I think it's either Barclays, NatWest or Nationwide raised their criteria to 6 times. So that means now, okay, for 6 times, then you could get a 150, on the mortgage side. But you have to understand now, let's say for you to do 150 on the mortgage side, let's say you were thinking of saving only 10K, then your house has to be 160. But then there's a confusion, because 10K to 160 is not 10%. So even on it's a confusing thing. So the way they even work out the mortgage thing is a bit different in terms of your affordability, because there's a different product for 5% mortgage, 10%. The deposit matters, but you making up the rest of the deposit and you making up this are 2 different things. So the mortgage, what you can afford for a mortgage is different than what you might have to put down for the house. So if you see a 200K house and you really want it, but the mortgage they'll give you is 150, and they've approved you a mortgage of 150, then you need to find 50K. And so again, when you go to ABC, you will have to rejig how you do things. So this is kind of the basic thing you want to see when it comes to buying a house. Sort out your credit score. It's pretty simple. Handle your money well, get some credit. If you have a phone bill, get a phone bill. If you have a credit card, I'll talk more about that in another time. Deposit, start saving up. Buying a home can be a 2, 3, 5 year process. Again, depending on the area, depending where it is, whether you're going to use Help to Buy a loan, all these different things in order to achieve it. And so, similar to a lot of things, nothing managed, nothing measured, and most people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan it. So for most people, you can achieve most of your goals provided that you're ready to do the amount of work for you. A lot of you might have big goals and stuff like that you want to achieve, but understand that starting from where you're starting, it might seem impossible because you've not been doing it before. When I bought my first car, I was earning minimum wage. What was it back then? This was it was £5.30. That was ridiculous, man. But that was what. At one point, but you have to do what you have to do in order to get what you want to get, if that's what you want, yeah. And so, but even when I was earning minimum wage, I was still trying to save at least £10. That's more. Nobody has not enough money to save anything. The wrong way to go about saving a lot of times for people is, a lot of times people save after they spend when you should save before you spend. That small mindset shift will actually change up your situation. So when it comes to financial literacy, the simple thing is just ABC: assets, budget, credit, attitude, behavior, control. And these all come down into how you act and how you view money. And now, if you have a negative view to money, then you're probably going to have a negative output, because you probably have anxiety when it comes to controlling money and even attaining the goals. So even when it comes to budgeting, you're probably not somebody that budgets. And so sometimes when it comes to your issues around money, your issues sometimes on your knowledge side and your application of your financial tools, but sometimes it's about How do you feel about it? You know, is it how you grew up? All these kind of things. Now, you already, so a lot of us are good at identifying the problems that we have. You know, I didn't see that handling money when I was young, all the kind of things. It's good for us to identify those things. But then the next question is, what are we doing about changing those things to change our behavior so that we're able to actually keep ourselves on course? Because if you keep stopping and starting, you're never going to get where you're trying to go. And so the last thing I'm going to leave you on, and I've talked a lot, and I don't like the light in my eyes making me want to be sleepy. And so the last thing I want to just talk about is about changing. If you're someone that's not been controlling your money well, you know, financial literacy is something that people talk to you about or you hear, but it's jarring. Most of these men out here, they're stressful. Everyone's trying to sell you a course. I know most men, they end up, you know, telling me about rent to rent or something like that because they saw one Samuel Leeds or something video or stuff like that. People start telling me about Forex because all these things seem like quick money things. These things seem proven because the people are showing you seem believable. The most thing is that, you know, there's people who are genuine in terms of trying to give back knowledge in terms of their courses because they have knowledge and they want to pour it back. But there's a lot of people out here that in terms of knowledge, they're not necessarily millionaires, but they will become millionaires because it's easier for them to teach you, man, and give you guys courses that every time you click on it, it's starting in 5 seconds, than for them to actually make it. So some of you guys will actually give them a social proof as opposed to, so, you know, when it comes to it, firstly, be patient. Don't rush. You know, we all have to start somewhere. You know, some of us, I mean, I started minimum wage. I possibly could have done better and finding a better job at the time, but I didn't. But I found what I could find. And so in your situation, it's probably not as bad as you think it is. You know, with all things being considered, you know, even if your situation is dire, it's sometimes, you know, we've always had times, even if you look at the world, every year we think the world's going to end this year. Look at the chaos, you know, in Nigeria, every year, what's it called? What's the word? What's that thing when people talk about Jesus coming back again?
Second coming.
Not the second coming, there's a word for it. End times. So yeah, literally, I remember my cousin, like, what's it called? This was must have been like a year ago or whatever. He was just like, look at the madness or something like that, blah, blah, blah. I just remember him being like, it's end times, it's end times. Things are going to get worse, probably before it gets better. So things are going to get worse. But that's mostly a good thing because, you know, you're trying to change a habit or stuff like that. Now, coming down to saving them, simple tricks that you can do. 1, look at all your accounts every day for the next 2 months. Don't do it more than 2 months. Don't get twisted. Don't do it more than 2 months. Check all your accounts every day. Yes, I said every day. Every single account. If you have 5 accounts, look at all of them. Just a glance. Now, one reason why this is the case is because a lot of us, especially with our contactless is now £100. That's dangerous. You're always out here just tapping the thing, especially if you have a credit card. Try. The thing is that a lot of us, we spend money because the truth of the matter is we don't actually know what we have, you know, until it bounces or until we're about, you know, some of us, we go out on a night out, we've not even checked our account, but we're looking at it and we're buying a drink and we're like, I hope it doesn't bounce. This will be very embarrassing. I don't know if there's enough in here. And so when you check your accounts every day, again, don't do it more than 2 months, but do it for 2 months. Every day, just give it a little glance on your commute or whatever. There's no way you don't have a minute to check all of it. The thing about it is that this conditions you in order for you to now know what's in your account. So before you actually make a purchase, you actually remember how much is in your account. Now, the first 4 or 5 days, you might continue with your thing. You saw a dress you like, you bought it. You saw a shoe you liked, you bought it. You saw this you liked, you bought it. You went out and ate, you paid for everybody because you don't know how to say no or something like that, or you felt this is what I should be doing because of blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, you check your account every day. You saw it go from 750 to 400 to 350 to 200, and there's still 2 weeks left in the month and before payday, and you still have to commute and stuff like that. Now, in the first month, you might not get it correctly, but at some point in time, you will actually begin to check yourself because you're like, rah, I'm moving mad. So 1, check all your accounts every day. 2, use your accounts more wisely. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth with this. I've made a video say how to use your accounts like a boss, but it's how do you allocate your money and your accounts for you to be more efficient. So one of my cards is for me to go out. When the card bounces, it tells me, Ugo, you have overspent, you're spending money. Similar like I told you before, sometime earlier, if you were here from the beginning, if you put this amount in this thing, or direct debits, it goes in there. The cards I flung it away. I don't know where it is, but where I know money shy, it goes out there. So use your accounts more wisely. 3, pay yourself first. Now, this is for everybody. A lot of times when you get paid, the first person you pay is BT. It's it's your boohoo man, your basket. It's your freaking, what's the other one? It begins with A. Yes, your ASOS basket. Some of you man have 3 months worth of ASOS basket waiting for you, payday quick. No, pay yourself first. And typically this is it's from the book Rich Man Babylon. But 10% of your money should always be the first thing that comes to your account, should go to your savings account. Why is it paying yourself first? Because when you're going to buy the shoe, you're paying Adidas. When you go to buy the clothes, you're paying ASOS. You're paying everybody but yourself. You don't see the money. You save last before it. No, the first money you see. It's almost like tithing for yourself. If you want to go and tithe as well, I don't care what your belief in terms of tithing is. That's cool. Then that means what's happening here, in my opinion, is that you're now 20% of your money is going out. 10% goes to your saving account. First thing to go out. 10% goes to church on Sunday, or in however you like to tithe. And then you need to figure out how you're going to use 80%. It's all about creating discipline for yourself. So start at 10%. 4, make a budget. Easy way to make a budget. Simple. All my direct debits or important things to come out this side, saving go this side, and then everything else. Just lump it all together. Don't worry about needs, wants, whatever. Everything that you know you're gonna pay every month, and then what you're saving and stuff like that. There's other tips and tricks, but I'm tired. I'm tired. So that has been what we're talking about, financial literacy. I know, get a buddy. An accountability body, If you've not been accountable before, get someone to keep you accountable. And ultimately, ask yourself if you really care, if you really want to, and then that'll be reflected in your day-to-day, If you're not serious about changing your life, just in general, if you're not serious about changing your situation, if you're not serious about changing your trajectory, it doesn't matter where you are. To be honest, yesterday doesn't really matter. It all really matters what you do today in terms of where you want to achieve. And maybe the timeline of what you want to achieve is going to be different, because you have no control of your timeline. Even when you make goals and you make plans, the main thing I tell people is that thing needs to be adaptable, because you need to adapt to the times. Because if you think that your life is going to go as the way you plan, then look, your plan's too rigid and you don't believe in the plan, and you don't believe in your ability to achieve the plan. And so, I tell one of my friends, she started like a charity, something, blah blah blah, but there was loads of problems coming her way and stuff like that. And I just told her, look, problems, challenges, obstacles is just God, the universe, mother nature, asking you, are you sure? Do you really want this? Is this really important to you? It doesn't really matter what it is. If losing weight was so easy, then you would have done it yesterday. If getting your degree was so easy, you wouldn't have gone to uni. If all these things, if it was buying a house was so easy, then again, if all these things, even going to your job, if it was so easy, then they wouldn't have hired, they wouldn't even do an interview process. All these things, anything that is worth going for is worth working for, and anything worth that for you personally is worth, getting right or achieving, it's worth failing at as well. So if you go into all these things, all these goals and stuff like that, understand your timeline may change. If you put a hard number into it, I have to do this, then again, you better put in the extra work in order to overcome the amount of obstacles, because every day things can change just like that. Job is not secure, all these kind of things. That's the reason why when it comes to finances, again, I didn't touch on it today in terms of more in terms of budgeting and stuff like that, but emergency funds, all these things are important. And these are better things for you to be able to make more informed decisions because you understand yourself, you understand what's out there available for you, and you also understand that you need to get better, man. So the simple formula of building wealth, beyond financial literacy is spend less, make more, save more, invest more, and then worry about taxes. There's a limit to how much you can cut off in terms of your spending before you can't live no more. There's a max that you can save until again, quality of life goes down. There may be a maximum that you'll be able to, but then after that, you need to increase your income. There may be a cap in terms of increasing your income. And coming back to spending and saving, there's also a cap. It just goes with the times. Then investing more, there's only a maximum that you can invest before you start affecting your quality of life. And then at some point, then you need to just think about taxes, man. And that's just the truth. And that's just how it is. So, again, ABCs of financial literacy. Assets, budget, credit, attitude, behavior, control, and when it comes to financial literacy, I look at more as personal literacy. Understanding yourself enough and the tools that you have available for you to get to where you want to achieve. And it's as simple as that, shit. So if you really want to do it, ABC, accumulate, good luck, and shout out to the producer, shout out to you guys, and we can knock this out. And then obviously, if you guys want to see this again, it will be on the IGTV, and it'll also be on YouTube. So, enjoy, guys. Take care. God bless and good luck. You think I would wait for the thing to go off before I start setting it? There we go. Charles, I'm not cheap, Jesus Christ.
Okay. As long as they say.